Hello everyone, how are my wonderful little book readers doing? You're going to have to bear with me for 1 minute while I try and fix the camera so that it actually works for this overlay. So just bear with me 1 second while I attempt to fix the overlay. I could have done, the thing is I literally couldn't have done this earlier because if I tried to do it earlier it wasn't going to work. And I was like, it's a nightmare. Hang on, just bear with me 1 moment. I think it needs to be a little bit bigger. A little bigger. Okay, that should be working. It's working. Good, brilliant. So glad. So, welcome to book club. It's our first book club stream, which is kind of fun. Which I'm very, very excited about. I've got 2 of you. GD, I'm glad to see that you weren't late. I want to be bold and clear. I am never reading William Shakespeare ever again. To be fair, it wasn't my fault that William Shakespeare won. That was your guys' fault, not mine. How are we all? How are we doing? So, usually for book club, I would have a cup of tea and some biscuits. I was planning on having a cup of tea and some biscuits, and then I had dinner, and I just really fancied some Tango. So we're drinking Tango, but come on in, you know, grab yourselves a drink, grab yourselves a cup of tea, grab yourselves some biscuits. I don't mind. Go for whatever you are feeling like. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Oh, I forgot to grab the book. Not the book we're reading, the other book. Okay, I'm gonna quickly stick you on a Be Right Back screen. Give me 1 second. Don't cockroach! Oh my god, this is too much. It's too much.
Oh my god, what the fuck is going on? I think we start right now.
Get your bush on. I don't got bush. I was not very prepared for that. I sincerely apologize to you guys. I have it now. This will be explained later, I promise. I have a lot of explaining to do since it's the first ever book club. I have a lot of explaining. But first I wanted to see how everyone was. If you're new around here, I don't know if you are, but if you are, please be aware that you don't have to have read the book to join book club. That's not how it is here. And you don't need to know what's going on to join book club. You can just join in, it's not a problem. I don't want anybody to feel left out or anything like that. It's not the case. Do you like my fancy pen? I have a really, really fancy pen. I love it. Shout out to my best mate who bought me that. So, book club. I have a lot of explaining to do, and there's a lot to go over in terms of actually how book club is going to run from like here onto like, well, however long we go through with this. So I put an announcement out on the Discord server. If you're not part of the Discord server, please join. It would be really helpful if you guys could join the Discord server. That's where I post everything about anything, so it'd be really helpful. So in the Discord server, if you're a part of the Discord server, head on over to roles, select your book club role, and you will have a whole new section of my Discord server open up to you. The other thing is that today voice chat is open, which I'm kind of nervous about. I've never actually done it where voice chat is open. As of the moment, obviously there's nobody in voice chat, and that's great. That's really, helpful. If you guys want to join voice chat, just stick, so you have to go on over to Discord server, select a whole little section will open up for you, and you click on waiting space, you sit in the waiting space, and I will bring you into the actual voice chat. I'm not going to sit in voice chat until someone maybe wants to join. Don't feel pressured. It's just like a new thing that we're doing, just to see if it works. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, no big deal. So that's the first thing. We do have a lovely, wonderful little voice chat open today, which is great. So, in other terms of book club, there is a couple little things. So, I have two apps for you guys. Don't feel forced to joining the apps, because that's not the case. Like, you don't have to join the apps if you don't want to. But basically, the way it's gonna work is the first app is called Book Club, funnily enough. There's a whole little thing about it in my Discord server again, so if you're not part of the Discord server, please go join it. That would be great. Basically, there's a whole... Oh, we have a new member, actually. Robin. I don't know who Robin is, but welcome in on the book club. I don't know if you're in stream or not, but if you're not, I mean, hello. So, Book Club, the app, basically is just a way of me keeping you guys up to date on what book it is for the month, in case you forget what book we're having for the next month. You can vote on your books, you can put down, notes and things. You can also put up your selections. So say it's like we got a week to choose a book for the next month. You guys can basically go on there, put in all your suggestions on what book you want, a little vote. So it's a really, all of our meetings on there, all of that kind of stuff, and I can also see who is actually a part of book club if you join it, so it's helpful. Don't feel forced like you have to join it, because you really don't. It's just helpful if you do. So that's the... Yeah, I don't think I was supposed to be an admin there, but I won't complain, wink wink. Are you an admin on the app? Are you? I don't know how you are. I'm still working out the app, to be honest. So this is what the app looks... No, you guys aren't going to be able to see that. This is what the app looks like. Oh, I'm trying not to get in the way of the mic. This is not working. You can't really see it. It's like a cute little tiny app, and it's adorable. So that's the first app. It's called our club is called Little Reading Turtles. Basically what you do is you go on, you click sign in, and then you put in my little code, and then you will just join our club straight away. But yeah, so that's the first app that I needed to go over. The second one is called Goodreads. If you are a little bookworm like me, you will already know this app, but some people actually don't know this app, surprisingly. So, oh, that is good. I'm basically trying out this new tango called Peach and something. It's like a new one. It's like a fruit twist thing. It's really good. Like, it's really tasty. Things like peach and strawberry or something like that. Goodreads. So Goodreads is more for you guys to, if you want to. Basically, it has all the books that I've read on there. It also has all the books that I want to read on there. And it has the book that I'm currently reading. And basically, as I'm reading it, I can put in where I'm up to, little notes on each chapter and things. So if you guys want to follow along for the month that we're reading the book on what I'm actually reading, where I'm up to, you completely 100% can. It's completely free. You can also add me as a friend on there, so you know, you can see what I'm reading, I can see what you're reading. It's just like a little bookwormy kind of app, but it's nice to have because you can like put notes on the book that you're reading, the time that you're reading it, and all that kind of stuff. And it's also a great place to find the books that you want to read, and you can put little comments. Oh, I was going to show you. You can put little comments on the, you still didn't see that, but whatever. You can put little comments on the book as well. But again, it's just a cute little app. That one's called Goodreads. If you want to go over onto that, you can. My name on there is Shazuza, of course. Was it going to be anything else? No. So yeah, if you guys want to go follow that one as well, you certainly can. So, in terms of actual book club, today we are reading Romeo and Juliet. I have my lovely flimsy old copy here. This is like an old copy. This is like the Penguin Classics copy. So today we're reading Romeo and Juliet. For the structure of book club, that's more for me to worry about. I do ask anybody that comes to have a discussion question to pose in chat if you have one about the book, about any chapter you like, about anything about the book. Just a question, a discussion question. You can pop it in chat and we can all discuss it at some point in the stream. So, Romeo and Juliet. I read this the first time I actually ever read this was in school, and I'm gonna presume that a lot of you also read it in school because it's on a lot of school criteria. This, like, along with Macbeth, along with what's the other Shakespeare one that's on the school? I know it's definitely Macbeth and Romeo and Juliet. I'm pretty sure there's another Shakespeare book that's on school things, but these are like the two main ones. So I first read it in school. It was the first time I ever read it, and I didn't understand a single bit of it, and then I had to write like a whole exam on it, and I still didn't understand any of it. But I actually ended up loving it, and I also watched the movie. I don't know if any of you have watched the movie. We're gonna discuss the actual play version of Romeo and Juliet, not the movie. But if you watch the movie instead of reading the book for today's stream, that's completely fine, because the movie does follow the book pretty well. So I'm gonna read a very short synopsis of the book in case you guys didn't read it this month, you know, because some of you don't like to, and that's fine. So Romeo and Montague, their romance must remain secret from their warring families. When Romeo is banished for the murder of Juliet's cousin, the young lovers, oh yeah, spoiler alert, the young lovers seek to thwart fate's tragic purpose. And it's a Penguin popular classic. So, if you guys don't know the story of Romeo and Juliet, I'm going to be really confused, but I'm going to explain the brief story of Romeo and Juliet anyway. So, it's about two star-crossed lovers, so there's two families. I think it's set in like the 1800s? I think it's like the 18, it's old, like set olden times. And there's two warring families. Book before movie, always for me. Yes, me too. I always love reading the book before the movie. I think the only time I've ever watched the movie before the book would probably be like when I watched, what's it called? Twilight. I watched Twilight before I read the books. And I also watched Maze Runner before I read the books. But the books were still better, no matter what. So, anyway. So, it's about two warring families that are against each other. And basically they hate each other. They're rivals, complete rivals. And the son of the Montague family and the daughter of the Capulet family fall in love. And it's like a whole romance story. It's a very tragic story, actually. If you guys have read it, you'll know the ending. I won't spoil it just yet, but you know the ending. And yeah, it's actually a very tragic story. But it's also who is an amazing writer and, well, script writer and playwriter. But, so, we're going to start off with asking you guys what you actually thought of the book. I actually really enjoyed it. So the first time I read it, after I got through all the random words I didn't understand, I actually really enjoyed the story. And then when I watched the movie, it made a lot more sense to me. So I actually loved the book. Things I could probably change, but if you think about how old the story actually is, it's fair enough that some of it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I've also acted out part of this. I did the monologue for Juliet at one point. I might have to read that on stream now, just for the fact of reading it. But I actually really enjoyed the book, and it's one of my favorite old and timey books, you know. So I am going to read chapter 1, because the good thing about Romeo and Juliet that I actually really enjoyed was actually that the chapter, Act 1, Scene 1, kind of follows, and I don't know if you guys have noticed, but kind of follows the same structure of the last act and the last scene of Romeo and Juliet when Juliet dies. Purely because there's a tragedy in Act 1, I'm getting confused between Act 1 and Scene 1. Purely because there's a tragedy between Scene 1, and there's a tragedy in the last scene, but it's a different kind of tragedy, and it's actually really cool to read if you guys haven't read it. But, sorry, I'm going to read Scene 1. We got Samson and Gregory, who are soldiers for the Capulet family. I'm not going to read the whole scene, just going to read the start. So, Samson starts off. Gregory, on my word, will not carry coals. No, for them we should be colliers. I mean, and we being collar will draw. While you live, draw your neck out of collar. I strike quickly, being moved, but thou art not quickly moved to strike. A dog of the house of Montague moves me. To move is to stir, and to be valiant is to stand. Therefore, if thou art moved, thou runst away. A dog of that house shall move me to stand. I will take the wall of any man or maid of Montague's. That shows thee a weak slave, for the weakest goes to the wall. 'Tis true, and therefore women being the weaker vessels are ever thrust to the wall. Therefore I will push Montague's men from the wall, and thrust his maids to the wall. The quarrel is between our masters and us their men. 'Tis all one, I will show myself a tyrant, that when I have fought with the men, I will be civil with the maids, I will cut off their heads. The heads of the maids, aye, the heads of the maids, or their maiden heads, take it in what sense you wilt. They must take it sense that feel it. So, basically, because I'm probably sure it sounds like a whole load of blabber to a lot of people, what they're saying here is they've just got out of a war, and a Montague soldier has tried to harm, I think his name's Samson or Gregory, one of them. Basically what they're saying is how bad the Montague family is, and it's basically setting up the story. It's not Montague. It's basically saying that the Montagues are dogs and they're filthy, and they'll even be civil with the maids by just cutting off their heads. So they hate this family so much that they'll even just kill their maids. So that's basically what the whole of, I mean, I just read the first page. That's what Scene 1 is setting up for this play. And Shakespeare actually does it really well, because he kind of throws you in the middle of the action without there being any action. And it's quite a cool way of doing it. And it's quite skilled, the way he's written it. So, moving on. Capulet and Lady Montague come into the scene. So Capulet and Lady Capulet are Juliet's parents. Lady Montague and Montague are Romeo's parents. So there's a little bit between. So they're all fighting. Samson, Abraham, Tybalt, Benvolio. So these are all people from the Montague family and the Capulet family, and they're all fighting against each other. And then Capulet, Lady Capulet, Montague and Lady Montague come out. And they all go. Capulet, what noise is this? Give me my long sword, ho. Lady Capulet, a crutch, why call you for a sword? Capulet, my sword, I say, old Montague has come and flourishes his blade in spite of me. Enter old Montague and his wife. So Capulet's basically saying to Lady Capulet, give me my sword, I'm gonna kill Montague. Montague, thou villain Capulet, hold me not, let me go. Lady Montague, Thou shalt not stir 1 foot to seek a foe. Enter Prince Escalise with his train. So, they're all fighting, and then basically the prince walks in and basically diffuses the situation, is the best way to put this, is that he basically just turns around and goes, everybody stop for a minute. And he basically reads this really long monologue. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's really long. But he basically reads this whole monologue about, you know, you guys are neighbors, this, you know, you're fighting all the time, you keep fighting until I come and, you know, get rid of all the fighting and break it up. And then they all start talking about how they're all, basically how they all hate each other. And then Romeo comes in. And this isn't like my favourite bit, so I actually love Romeo in this book. But I do think he's a bit of a dumb character, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of the time he's a bit like ditzy and he acts like a bit of a fool in front of Juliet. And I actually think Juliet's a lot... This is the bit that annoys me about this book, because I actually think Juliet's a lot more clever than Romeo is. And yet she's the one that dies in the end. And I just think that's really stupid, because she was the smart one. And then love made her like stupid. But there you go. So, Benvolio and Romeo are now in this scene. Benvolio is Romeo's cousin. So, Benvolio starts. Good morrow, cousin. Romeo, is the day so young? But news struck 9. I me, sad hours seem long. Was that my father that went hence so fast? It was. What sadness lengthens Romeo's hours? Not having that which having makes them short. In love? Out. Of love? Out of her favour where I am in love. Also that love so gentle in his view should be so timorous and rough in proof. So he's basically saying that he hasn't got any love and whatever. This is Romeo though. Should without eyes see pathways to his will. Where shall we dine? Oh me, what fray was here? Yet tell me not, for I've heard it all. He has much to do with hate, but more with love. Why then, O brawling love, O loving hate, O anything of nothing first created? O heavy lightness, serious vanity, misshapen chaos of well-seeming forms, feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick health, still waking sleep, that is not what it is. This love feel I, that feel no love in this, dost thou not laugh? So, this is really clever, because basically what Romeo is saying is that he doesn't see why everyone's fighting when they could love. And then he goes on to saying that the way he sees it is love is a feather of lead, bright smoke, cold fire, sick health. And then he's basically saying this love that I feel, like there's no love in it, because everybody's, you know, arguing. So then Benvolio turns around and goes, no, because I rather weep. Good heart at what? I thy good heart's oppression. And then Romeo goes on again to talk about love. Why such is love's transgression? Griefs of mine own lie heavy in my breast, which thou wilt propagate to have it pressed. With more of thine, this love that thou hast shown, doth add more grief to too much of mine own. Love is a smoke made with the fume of sighs, being purged a fire sparkling in lovers' eyes, being vexed a sea nourished with loving tears. What is it else? A madness most discreet, a choking gall, preserving sweet. Farewell, my cuz. Goodbye, I'm going. I don't want so the rest of like scene 1 is basically about Romeo and Benvolio. Romeo just talking, and you sort of get to know the character of Romeo, and I do like him as a character. A lot going on, but he is just a bit stupid and it really annoys me because some of the things he says, I'm just like, you are just a kid. And I do think that you gotta think, like, the time this was written, the story made sense with the way that he wrote it. If Shakespeare's writing this now, I think the story jumps so much. I mean, 2 teenagers fall in love, they get married, then one of them dies, and it all happens very, very quickly. Very quickly. But yeah, I'm gonna put up a little discussion question for you guys. So, give me 1 second while I set this up. Nope, I don't want that. Where's the button I'm looking for? This one? Yeah. So this is a discussion question for you, and you can have a think about it, because I think it's quite a good question. Right, so this question seems... So this question seems kind of dumb because everybody probably thinks the same thing, as that it is a bit of both. But a lot of people lean one way or the other. So I'm curious as to see what you guys will think, and then based on the answer, we'll have a little discussion about it. So that's scene 1, and then you move on to scene 2, which is between Lady Capulet and Juliet's nurse. So we've just... all of this drama happened between the Montagues, all this fighting. Then you see what kind of character Romeo between Lady Capulet and the nurse. So, nurse, where's my daughter? Call her forth to me. And then this is where you meet Juliet. Now, by maidenhead at 12-year-old, I bade her come. What lamb, what ladybird, God forbid, where's this girl, what Juliet? So basically what this is doing is showing that Juliet is in her own head. Straight off the bat, you can see that the character she is doing her own thing, and she's not following what everyone else says. And you see that just based off that one line by the nurse. So, how now, who calls? Your mother. Madam, I am here, what is your will? This is the matter. Nurse, give leave a while, we must talk in secret. Nurse, come back again. I have remembered me, thou's hear our counsel. Thou knowest my daughter's of a pretty age. So, Faith, I can tell her age unto an hour. She's not 14. I'll lay 14 of my teeth, and yet to my teen be it spoken. I have but 4. She is not 14. How long is it now to Lammas tide? A fortnight and odd days, even or odd, of all days in the year, come Lammas eve at night. Shall she be 14? So, they're basically having a conversation about how old she is. For the next bit about when, well, not the next bit, but a little bit later on when Lady Capulet basically says to Juliet, you need to get married. And she's like, what? No, I'm really young. And she's like, no, I mean, you can get married at 14. Can you believe people could get married at 14 in that time? Oh, that's just so wrong. So this whole scene is basically, and you can see how the nurse are having this whole conversation in front of Juliet without Juliet having any say whatsoever. Like, she has no say. And they're having this whole conversation in front of her. And that's it. So, Lady Capulet goes on to say, yeah. So then Lady Capulet moves on and says, Marry, that marry is the very theme I came to talk of. Tell me, daughter Juliet, how sounds your disposition to be married? So the way Shakespeare's written this, which is actually quite clever, is that Lady Capulet has turned to Juliet and gone, oh, what do you think of marriage? And then the minute Juliet turns around and goes, no, I don't want to get married, her mum flips out on her. But the way she's written it is like Lady Capulet's like, oh, so how do you feel about it? Talk to me. And she's like, no. Yeah, Romeo and Juliet is sometimes called an epitome of romance, but honestly I didn't see the romance element ever. Yeah, okay, so let's talk about this, because you guys have answered this poll for me. Tragic story, yeah. So the way Romeo and Juliet, so I'm gonna put and Juliet was always put to me, which I actually found really interesting, is that everybody says it's a romance story, and when I read it I never really got the romance. A lot of the story, the way I see it is the basis of the story is the romance. It's Romeo and Juliet falling in love. But that's not what the story's about. I think a lot of people get this confused because a lot of people say the story about Romeo and Juliet falling in love. It's actually not. And for me, it's about feuds. And it's actually about power and control. I don't think it's got a lot to do with the romance. The romance was just the fire starter for that story. And I think this is actually quite an interesting thing to look at, because a lot of people, again, say that Romeo and Juliet is just a tragic love story. And it is a tragic love story. But that's not what Shakespeare was trying to write about. Shakespeare uses the romance in the story to, you know, jumpstart that whole other aspect of it, which I find really, really interesting. And I do really enjoy the way that he puts it. But a lot of people don't see it that way. So I'm kind of glad some of you do see it that way, because a lot of people don't. Wait, I'm just trying to switch over my Wi-Fi's because my Wi-Fi's are being weird. Don't know why. There we go. It might work a bit better now. Page stopped responding. Don't do that to me. That's scary. I don't like it when things do that. I'm like, oh, stop responding. Ah, there we go. Fixed it. It's fine. Where was I? Yes. So, yeah, a lot of people say that Romeo and Juliet is a tragic love story, and it is. But I think Shakespeare actually used the tragic love story to actually tell the real story, which is about the feuding and the families fighting and the fact that it's not worth it. And you can see that in the last scene. Juliet and Romeo dies. They say all this feuding, all for two people to die. Like, it wasn't worth it. I think they kind of just forget that Tybalt dies as well. Like, they don't mention Tybalt at the end. They're like, ah, screw Tybalt. But Romeo and Juliet died, which I actually find quite funny. So yeah, this whole scene's about basically telling Juliet she's to marry, and Juliet's like, no, I don't want to marry. That's not happening. Blah, 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 blah. So, then you jump back to Romeo, and the whole book actually jumps between their two perspectives until the moment they meet. So I'm gonna skip up until the moment they meet because it's such quite a good scene, and I want to read the whole scene because I actually love the scene so much. Romeo, Capulet, Juliet. Oh, actually, is this where they meet? I can't remember what scene it is. Ah, here we go. This is when they meet. This is when Romeo and Juliet meet. Romeo. If I aim with my unworthiest hand, this holy shrine, the gentle sin is this. My lips two blushing pilgrims ready stand, to smooth the rough touch with a gentle kiss. So, basically, they've met at a party. Or not a party, but like a... how do you explain it? It's kind of like a dinner type thing, but not like a sit-down dinner kind of thing. And they meet here. And they don't actually know who each other is. So, with a kiss. Good pilgrim, you do wrong your hand too much. With mannerly devotion shows in this. For saints have hands that piss. Have not saints lips and holy palmers too? I, pilgrim, lips that they must use in prayer. Oh, then, dear saint, let lips do what hands do. They pray, grant thou lest faith turn to despair. So Romeo is basically saying, I want to kiss you. Juliet. Saints do not move, thou grant for prayer's sake. Then move not while my prayer's effect I take. Thus from my lips, by thine, my sin is purged. Somewhat like a supper, a dinner, but not for me. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. Then have my lips the sin that they have took. Sin from my lips, O trespass sweetly urged, give me my sin again. So basically, they know that they shouldn't be kissing, and this is what they're saying here. They're like, oh, they're basically flirting. In Shakespeare's written way, they're flirting. She's basically saying, oh, you shouldn't kiss me again, it's a sin. And he's like, oh, well, let me sin again, and blah, blah, blah. They're literally flirting. You kiss by the book. Madam, your mother craves a word with you, so the nurse comes in. Romeo. Her mother. Nurse, Mary Bachelor. Her mother is the lady of the house, and a good lady, and a wise and virtuous. I nursed her daughter that you talked withal. I tell you, he that can lay hold of her, she'll have the chinks. Romeo, is she a Capulet? Oh dear account, my life is my foe's debt. So, this like realization here, Romeo's like, oh crap, I just kissed a Capulet. I'm screwed. I'm gonna get in so much trouble. Away be gone, the sport is at the best. He's basically coming like, Romeo, let's go, like this is a bad situation. I fear, the more is my unrest. Then Capulet comes in. So this is Juliet's dad that has just waltzed in, and he goes, nay, gentlemen, prepare not to be gone. We have a trifling foolish banquet towards. Is it even so? Why then I thank you all. I thank you, honest gentlemen, good night. More torches here, come on, then let's to bed. I swear by my fate, it waxes late, I'll do my test. I should have probably specified, Romeo and Benvolio have, I don't know if they've masked themselves, but they've basically faking like that they're not Montagues. Like nobody knows that they're Montagues. They've come on here. Basically, I think they went to sabotage something or to do something. They're pretending to be a part of the Capulets or like the soldiers, so nobody actually knows that they're Montagues. Which is why Capulet isn't like angry or anything. Juliet, come hither, nurse. What is yon gentleman? The son and heir of old Tiberio. What's he that now is going out of the door? Marry, that I think be young Petruchio. What's he that follows there that would not dance? So Juliet's now asking the nurse, who's this, who's that, who's this? And she's basically asking who all these people are. I know not. Go ask his name if he be married. My grave is like to be my wedding bed. His name is Romeo, and a Montague, the only son of your great enemy. So because Juliet's already had the conversation with her mother about being married, she's like, oh, I like him. Is he married? Like, I want to think about marrying him. And now the nurse has turned around and gone, no, he's a Romeo, he's a Montague. Like, you do not want to go there. Juliet, my only love sprung from my too early seen, unknown, and known too late, prodigious birth of love it is to me, that I must love a loathed enemy. So basically what she's saying is, it's just my luck that the only guy I like and the only guy that I fell in love with, even though they literally have one conversation, is a Montague, and it's Romeo. That's what that whole line is, but I really like that line. What's this? A rhyme I'd learned even now of one I dance withal. One calls within. Juliet, anon, come let's away, the strangers are all gone. So the party ends, Juliet's sad, and she's like, oh, I just fell in love with a Montague, what am I gonna do? And yeah, so that's the end of that. Then Romeo and Benvolio have a scene where Romeo basically tells Benvolio and Mercutio, who's also his cousin, Mercutio is his best friend, isn't it? Basically about Juliet. And he doesn't know what to do. And then Romeo has this whole, and the big famous scene where he goes to her window, and I'm going to read the whole scene because I love the scene so much. Romeo comes forth. He jests at scars that never felt a wound. Juliet appears at the window. But soft what light through yonder window breaks. It is the east, and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon, who is already sick and pale with grief. That thou her maid art far more fair than she. Be not her maid, since she is envious. Her vestal livery is but sick and green, and none but fools do wear it, cast it off. It is my lady. That's really long. Oh, it is my love. Oh, that she knew she were. She speaks, yet she says nothing. What of what? What of that? Her eye discourses, I will answer it. I am too bold, 'tis not to me she speaks. Two of the fairest stars in all the heaven, having some business do entreat her eyes, to twinkle in their spheres till they return. What if her eyes were there, they in her head? The brightness of her cheek would shame those stars. As daylight doth a lamp her eye in heaven, with through the airy region streams so bright, the birds would sing and think it were not night. See how she leans her cheek upon her hand. Oh, that I were a glove upon that hand, that I might touch that cheek. So, in this whole monologue, Romeo is basically saying, and he's basically thinking in his head, he shouldn't love her, but he does. Like, he wants to be the glove that touches her cheek. He wants to kiss her again. He loves her eyes and all this. So he's basically saying, I know it's not right. And he wants to kill the envious moon, he wants to kill the envious moon because she's the sun and she's next to the moon. You get the idea. She speaks. Oh, speak again, bright angel, for thou art as glorious as night being over my head, as is a winged messenger of heaven, unto the white upturned wandering eyes of mortals that fall back to gaze on him, when he bestrides the lazy puffing clouds. I'm yawning again. And upon the bosom. O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name, or if thou wilt not be but sworn my love, and I'll no longer be a Capulet. So they're basically saying that they're so in love that they will disown their family names. And this is the only thing I don't get about Romeo and Juliet. I love the story, but they've met once. They've had one conversation and they're already falling in love. So they basically have this whole scene together where they're basically talking, saying about how much they love each other. And they come to the idea that they want to get married. Ooh, what a surprise. Basically, they decide they want to get married against their family's wishes, obviously, because they're, supposed to hate each other. And then the whole middle of the book is basically Tybalt dying. Juliet finds out that Tybalt dies, and then she thinks, how could Romeo do that, even though Romeo didn't mean to kill Tybalt. It's basically a whole bit, blah, blah, blah. Then it comes to towards the end of the book where Romeo and Juliet meet. She basically finds out that Romeo didn't actually mean to kill Tybalt, and she actually doesn't care. And they meet with I think he's a priest, isn't he, or some kind of man, who they basically come up with a plan to fake their death. So the plan is that Juliet is going to take this potion thing. She's going to fall asleep, and it's going to look like she's dead. Everyone's going to think she's dead, and then they're going to run away together. Romeo doesn't get the message, so it's actually quite sad how this works out. So Juliet takes the potion. She writes a letter to Romeo basically explaining the whole plan. So she comes up with this plan by herself. And then Romeo never gets the letter. I can't remember why he doesn't get the letter. I don't know if somebody could remind me of that reasoning. I don't actually remember why he doesn't get it, but he doesn't get the letter. Juliet dies. Well, she doesn't die. She takes the potion that fakes her death. Romeo then finds her thinking she's actually dead. So then he drinks the poison, and then he actually dies. And then she wakes up the minute he's dying, which is kind of, funny timing that. And then when she sees that he's dead, she then drinks the poison and dies too. So they both end up dying in the end because she can't, live without him and whatever. This really wouldn't be a modern day story, would it? And then basically the family find them both dead, which is really sad. And then basically Montague and Capulet have this whole thing with each other where they basically state that it wasn't worth it. They should end the feud because their children have died. And yeah, so it's a bit of a tragic love story. But, as I've said before, I think it's more of a tragic story than a tragic love story. Because you don't actually really care about the love... I mean, you do. It's known as a love story. But for me, a lot of the story focuses on the actual tragedy. The love, if that makes sense, which actually a lot of you have agreed with me on. So does anybody else have any interesting discussion questions to bring up about this book? So obviously I've said about it being a tragic story instead of a romance story. If anybody else has any questions that they would like to discuss with the group, let me know. Pop it in chat. So I have this wonderful book here. This is going to be our book club book. So basically I'm going to go through it. We have a rating system. So we start off by rating the book, between 1 star and 5 star. Don't know why I have that in there, but whatever. Then we've got the 100 book challenge, which I do actually want to do with book club, but that'll be a different kind of thing. Then we have a little bookshelf. So we pop the book on the bookshelf, write the name in, and yeah, it goes on our bookshelf like that. Moving swiftly on. We then have format by pixels. So some of our books will be read on my Kindle instead of the actual physical copy. I just had the physical copy for this month. Some months I'll have it on my Kindle, so then we fill that out on here. Why does William have to use so many thou thee like it's written in 1500s, but still? I actually know why, and I will explain in a minute, because it's actually really interesting, and I actually learned it in school. Then we put in how many pages we read that month. Obviously it will just be how many pages that book is. Genres, put in what genre it is. Book of the year. This will be fun. So obviously we're starting in June. This goes from October to October. We're starting in June, so we'll just go from June to May next year. Basically we pick a book that we liked the most that month. I mean, obviously we'll just put in whatever book we did for book club. So for this month it'll be Romeo and Juliet. Then we pick our top 3 out of those ones, and then our top 1 of the year. Then we've got statistics. That's more for me than for you guys. And then we've got a little wish list, so if you guys want any books popped on, we can. So we're going to fill this out. And then obviously after all that, you have to fill out a little profile about the book. So I haven't done this one yet, but this is Alice in Wonderland. So you pop in the title, the author, there's going to be a little thumbnail of the book here. Genre, pages, published, when you started it, when you finished it, the rating, and then thoughts and quotes. And I actually want to encourage you guys to make one of these books too, because they are actually really good to have, and I think they'll be really good to have for book club in general. Not going to make you guys, obviously, we have this one for me, but if you guys want to make your own book and you want to follow along, please do go for it, and we can share our entries. Should be quite fun. But yeah, GD, to answer your question, the thee, thou, they, and whatever's. The reason William wrote like that, and I'm actually going to double check that I'm correct, because I don't want to tell you, is because he used writing techniques. So, William Shakespeare wrote in rhyme, which is actually quite funny, and he wrote in iambic pentameter, as it's called. So there's lots of unrhymed words in rhymed sentences. So let me see if I can try and find a way to explain it to you. So I'm going to explain. So iambic pentameter is a way of an unrhymed wording having 10 syllables in a sentence. So, this line, for example, by Samson, me they shall feel while I am able to stand. It's 10 syllables. Another one would be, so if it's a short line, you'd put 2 and 2 together. So, how turn thy back and run, fear me not. That was 9, but it's in 10. So then, yeah, he wrote like that, which is why he uses a lot of the these, the theys, the thous, because it helped him with his iambic pentameter. Because if he used the actual words, so like, let's just say for this sentence, what art thou drawn among these heartless hinds? So, what art thou drawn on heartless hinds? 10 syllables. If you turned it into a proper sentence, so what would they draw among these heartless people? What would they draw among these heartless people? It wouldn't work. So a lot of the time he used thee, thou, art, they, and whatever, so that his iambic pentameter would stay into focus, and that's why he wrote like that. And I just find it really interesting. But yeah, so that would answer your questions. That's quite interesting, isn't it? And if you look at any Shakespeare play, or any Shakespeare thing that he wrote, he does the same thing, and I actually think it's really interesting. So let's fill out this lovely, wonderful book. So I'm going to add a book to the bookshelf, and we're going to write that it is Romeo and Juliet. Beautiful. Oh, I have a hair stuck to me. Love that for me. Don't you just love when a hair sticks to you? Format by pixels. So obviously we read it as a physical book. Oh, actually, I'm going to come back to that because I've got to sort out the formats starting in June. So I'll come back to that one. Same with pages per... Actually, no, I could do pages per month now. So October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. So this book is, how many pages is this book? Or this play, should I say? 152. It's a very small book. I actually didn't realise it was that small when people picked it this month. November, December, that's June. $152 pages. Nice. It's good reading, that is. What genre are we gonna put it under? I mean, I would say romance. I feel like we kind of have to put it as a romance purely because it is a tragic love story. So I'm gonna put it as romance. However, that is up for debate, because I think a lot of people might put it in a different genre to me. So, book of the year. So we read Romeo and Juliet this month. We'll see what we read next month, because that'll be quite fun. Wish list can be skipped. Okay, so we have is Romeo. Yeah, I was kind of happy with the length of the book because I only had like 2 days to finish, so it worked out really fine for me. Yeah, so if you guys have suggestions, I'll put up a thing after today's book club, because I don't know what you guys are going to want to read next month. But I'll give you guys like a few days to vote. So if you guys have any suggestions, I'm just going to put in my suggestions if you guys don't have any. But if you guys have any suggestions you want, or any books that you want to read for next month that will actually encourage you to read, please put them in the book club channel. Or put them on the book club app so that I know what you guys want to be put in the vote, and then people can vote on them. Because otherwise it's just my suggestions, and then it's not, you know, you guys being involved in what you actually want to read. So please, please, please do it. Please, please. So title is Romeo and Juliet. Author is William Shakespeare. Turned to a right bookworm. You know, I used to get made fun of for being a bookworm. I don't get made fun of anymore, which is quite nice. So we've got William Shakespeare, and then we've got the details. So again, if you guys want to, I really do encourage you guys to do one of these books as well, so you can fill it out as we go as well if you want to. Definitely recommend you guys do. Genre, again, I'm just gonna put romance. I feel like it's more than a romance, but I'm gonna put a romance because I don't know. Pages is 152. You know what? I actually like the idea of book journal kind of thing. I'm gonna find some book to make it into one. Yeah, do it. I mean, it was a nice idea to kind of, when we're having our book club streams. Howdy doody, little wavy hands. How you doing? Welcome in on the stream. I hope you're having a wonderful day, or evening, or morning. Well, no, it'll be evening because I know where you live. But yeah, if you guys want to start a book journal too, go for it. You can fill it out as I fill out mine on stream, and it'll be really good fun. You can turn any book you want into it. I might do a little tutorial on how to make one if you guys would be interested in that. They're really easy to make though, I promise. Pages 152. Published. I actually don't know when Romeo and Juliet was published, because it will be different to when it was actually written and whatever, because it's quite old. Let's have a look. When was not William Shakespeare? When was Romeo and Juliet published? 1597. I don't think I quite realized how old that is. Why did I think it was less than that? I don't know. That's funny. Okay. Recommended by... not applicable because I recommended it to myself. Okay, dokie. Right. And then we do... start and finish. Obviously, I first read Romeo and Juliet in school, but I'm just gonna do when I reread it today. So for me, let's have a look. It would have been, so I started reading it on the 21st last week. 21st of the 6th, and I finished it on the Sunday, so the 26th. It took me 5 days to read. Look at that. Rating, I would give it a 3. No, a 4. No, I'd give it a 3 because I don't think I could read it like loads of times in a row. You know when you like read those books where you're like, oh my god, That was such an amazing book. I could so read that again. I don't think I could read Romeo and Juliet over and over and over again. But I do think it's a good book. It is old. It is, you know, interesting. Give it 3 stars. Again, if you guys want to do your own little book journal as we go, please do. Please do. That would be great. And then we have thoughts/quotes. So, some thoughts that we've had is that it is more of a tragic story than a romance. Because I believe it is. I think it is more of a tragic story than a romance story. If you think about it, like, it's really not. I don't think it's really more than. Like, it is like, I know it's famous for being a romance, but I just don't think it's that romantic, you know? Like, no. I think it's more of a tragic story. Let's go over some of the quotes that I said. So, I said about the start being the same as the end. Which is quite a, you know, the iambic pentameter. Which is why Shakespeare uses thee, thou, and they, because he's a widow. And he's actually the only author and the only playwright to ever do it and to ever use it. That is the only reason that he does it. If you guys have any favorite quotes from this month's book, please let me know. Oh, and also, if you guys didn't know, because I have the old version, this is what's known as the Globe Theatre. And if you don't know what the Globe Theatre is, it was an Elizabethan theatre that was actually built to show Romeo and Juliet. It had 4 floors. Had the rich of the richest, the mediums, the poor, and then it had this floor, and the floor was where you stood if you were like really poor. And it was the first theatre in Elizabethan history. It's quite fun. Favorite quotes. Let's have a little look at some of my favorite quotes that I had. I can't actually remember where they were now. Let's have a little look. I mean, there's the really famous lines. I do like this line that I didn't actually read. So this is Mercutio. This is Romeo's best friend. And he goes, oh, no, I've lost it. Went back too far. Here it is. So Romeo says, is love... So basically he's telling Mercutio that he's found love and he doesn't really know what love feels like. Is love a tender thing? It is too rough, too rude, too boisterous, and it pricks like thorn. So Romeo is basically saying that love is evil for making him fall in love with you. If love be rough with you, be rough with love. Prick love for pricking, and you beat love down. Give me a case to put my visage in. A visor for a visor, what care I? What curious eye doth coat deformities? Here are the beetle brows shall blush for me. Basically what Mercutio's saying to Romeo is like, well, if love's being, you know, evil with you, then be rough with love, you know, go for it. No, I really like that line, so I'm gonna put that down as one of my favorite quotes. If love be rough. I actually think that's a good quote to have for life, you know, if you fall in love with someone. Be rough with love. Because, I mean, it is true, love can be really rough and it can be really difficult to keep with and, you know, understand sometimes. I feel like a lot of people, especially who don't date and go into relationships thinking they know what love is like, and you really don't. And it's different with every relationship you get into. Like, your first relationship could be completely different to like your third or your fourth, and it's actually crazy to think how different it can be, and you're always learning. I mean, I got out of my first relationship thinking that I knew everything, and I really don't know everything. So don't be thinking that when you're going into relationships. Shaz's relationship advice, of course. If I skipped when Romeo and Juliet Oh no, I'm fine. Romeo. Ah, here it is. Juliet. Ah, that's when Romeo and Juliet meet. What shall I swear by? Shall not swear at all. It is the east and Juliet is the sun. I love that line. Juliet is the sun. Because then, even when he turns around, arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon. I feel like there's a few ways you could interpret that line. I'm going to say them in a minute once I've written it down. The envious moon. Right. I actually feel like that is a really good line. And there's a few reasons why. So, depends on how you're going to evaluate it. A lot of people will read it first off the bat and think he's calling Juliet the sun, and he's basically saying that he is envious of the moon because Juliet is the sun, and he's basically saying that he's envious of whoever can be with Juliet because he can't. That's one way to interpret it. The other way to interpret it is that he is calling the moon the reason that they can't be. He's basically saying, it is the east and Juliet is the sun, arise fair sun and kill the envious moon. Because he uses the word kill, the way I'm interpreting that is that he's telling Juliet, arise to it, and, you know, don't let anything stand in the way of us being together. Kill the envious moon, let us be together. And I just think that's a really, like, you know, nice way of seeing it. Even though he uses the word kill, and it sounds a bit I just think it's a really nice line to have. 3 words to Romeo. And you know what? I love that the nurse hides their romance. Like, it's so cute how the nurse just like the whole time she just protects Juliet and lets them fall in love. I think that's really sweet. Like, she protects them from being hurt because they are children, you know. If you think about it, I mean, Juliet's not even 14 yet, and Romeo is like 15. So I've just wrote here if you guys want to write in yours. I love how the nurse protects Romeo and Juliet and allows them to be together. And you know what? In the story, I feel like Juliet actually cares more about the nurse's approval than she does her mother's, which I actually think is quite interesting. It's quite an interesting way of looking at it as well. And approves, whereas the mother doesn't. And you see it in a lot of the book, how Juliet really does not get along with her mother, but she values what the nurse thinks and what the nurse says. Like, even when the nurse turns around and tells Juliet, you know, it's not worth it, and Juliet turns around and says, no, it is, she cares about what the nurse is saying. I think that's a really nice thing to look at. So, I filled out my little journal here. Look at all those little notes. And then basically in this little gap here, I will print off a teeny tiny little thumbnail of the book, and I will stick it right there, and it will look beautiful. So yeah, I think that concludes this month's book. I don't know what you guys thought of it, but I really enjoyed it, and I think next month we should go with something a little bit for the easier reading, because I feel like Romeo and Juliet is a bit of a difficult book to read, and I do feel kind of bad that that's the first book we've thrown on for book club. So, next month's meeting. Let's go over this before I finish stream. Next month's meeting will be on the 27th? The 27th of July. Again, I will host an announcement for this, so don't feel bad. that XDD. You're welcome. Yeah, July. So you guys have a whole 2, 3, 4 weeks to read next month's pick. I'm gonna release a vote this evening for next month's book club. Thank you to everyone who joined in on today's book club. I really do appreciate it. I had a lot of fun, and I hope you guys had fun too bringing this back. It's actually nice to bring back a little bit. It's quite fun. But yeah, so 27th of July will be next pick. I will give you guys a couple of days to vote. So the vote will be decided probably on the Sunday, the 3rd of this week. And then that gives you, yeah, like 3.5 weeks to read next week's book. Literally couldn't have come at a worse time. Trace, you're late. You're late. You're an hour and 8 minutes late, my dude. How dare you? Look, we filled out the book review book and everything. Look at that. Filled it all out and you're late. I'm offended. I'm so offended. I'm sorry. It's fine. It's all good. But I would like to state that the overlay that is on screen right now, I actually edited myself. Even the animation was done by yours truly. Thanks for that. So you guys should be very, very proud of me, because I'm quite proud of me. So I'm just going to go over the notes from today's book club, in case you missed out. So, title, Romeo and Juliet. Again, if you guys want to fill out your own book journals, I'm just going to go over the details now for you guys. So, how could you, Trace? How could you? Title, Romeo and Juliet. Author, William Shakespeare. Details, genre, we put down as romance, although some people will say it's a tragedy story, or even a conflict or war story. Pages, 152, at least that's my copy. There are a few copies that are different amount of pages, so just have a little look at your copy. First published in 1597. Recommended by, I put NA because I recommended it by me. I started it on the 21st and finished it on the 26th, and it took me 5 days to read. If you guys can beat that, I dare you to try. Thoughts and quotes. More of a tragic story than a romance, that's what we agreed upon. Start is similar to the end. Again, like I said, this Act 1, Scene 1 is very similar to the way that the ends, with the whole dying and whatever. Iambic pentameter, why Shakespeare uses the thou art, and why he writes in a different style to many other authors. Favourite quotes, Mercutio, if love be rough with love. Romeo, it is the east and Juliet is the sun. Arise, fair sun, and kill the envious moon. Oh, I love that line. And then we also wrote about how the nurse protects Romeo and Juliet and allows them to be together. So, if you guys want to fill out your own book journals, go ahead. I'll probably take a picture of this and pop it in Discord just in case you missed any of the details. As I was saying, so next book club will be on the 27th of July at various people. Again, if you guys have any suggestions on what books you would like to be in the vote for this month, please put them in Discord, otherwise I'm not going to see them and I'm not going to be able to use them. So put them up, and I will release a vote tonight, and you will have until Sunday to pick next month's pick. And please make sure it is a book that you guys are actually going to want to read this month, because whatever gets chosen, I have to follow. Okay? So it's on you guys, whatever gets picked. But yeah, so let me see if I can find someone to raid real quick, just to make it, you know. Again, if you guys want to join the apps that I've said about, please do. I would love to see some of you joining in and having fun and whatever. That would be really nice. There isn't actually anyone to raid. It's a bit of a boring one. Who's this? I'm just gonna try and find someone to raid. If you guys can just stick around for like 2 minutes, that would be great. What's this? No. Oh, all these ads. I moan about ads, but like I have ads on my streams. I can still moan about them though, right? They can still be complained about. I think. Writing Wednesday. Ooh. This sounds kind of cool. Writing Wednesday is kind of similar to book club, right? Bloody ads, man. Okay, I'm gonna let this ad go on. So, I really hope you guys enjoyed today's book club. Oh, yes. Please. Okay, I made a new form today for you guys to fill out. It gives me some feedback on my streaming. Please, if you have a chance, please go fill it out. I would really, really appreciate it because I want to go over the answers and just update things and make things a lot nicer for you guys. It's more for you than it is for me, so please go fill it out. I'm begging you. There's a link in my Instagram bio, there's a link in the Discord, and there's a link in my link tree, so please go check them out. I would really appreciate it. Okay, I've got to remember this name now. The Egg and I. That's a cool name. Yeah, pick a book which no one wants to read. Gotcha. No, that is not what I said. It's not even close to what I said. Do not pick a book that nobody wants to read, okay? Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, we're gonna go raid this person. If I can remember their name, which I cannot. I'm terrible with names. I'm so bad with names. I think this is right. Let me just double check. Yeah, I think that's right. Oh no, everything's free. Dunno. Let's just see if it works. Yeah, it's working. Thank God for that. So yeah, if you guys can please join the raid, I would really appreciate that. I hope you all had a wonderful time in today's book club. Again, just check the notes. If you want to be a part of book club, go grab the book club role in Discord. It opens up a whole new thing. We have voice chat now, so please go do it. I would really appreciate it if you guys wanted to. I love you all very much. I hope you all had a wonderful time today, and I will see you all in the next stream, which will be, what's today, Wednesday, tomorrow night. I'll probably be streaming tomorrow night a game, maybe Until Dawn. We'll go back to Until Dawn, but yeah, I love you all. Bye see you later, peoples. Bye guys, see you next time.